So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was a pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you just devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
Well, here we go again, you guys. How are you?
Good evening. Howie.
Hola. Elton's back.
I'm pissed, so I want to get that off my chest.
Good, we need that. I actually couldn't believe the number of teacher pictures you were able to fit into that tiny image on Twitter to talk about tonight's show topic. I mean, what was that, a dozen teachers you were able to fit in there? Shocking.
I think it's, a dozen, 15. And that's truly a thumbnail.
Were those just picked from recent stories, JT?
Yes.
Yeah, no old-timers.
No, we've got some links in the show description, and they're all recent. And Howie came up with one. I think there were, 5 in 30 days? The misbehavior one.
Yeah, that was in Atlanta. Yeah, they called it bad behavior. Yeah. Teachers bad behavior. 5 teachers accused of sexual abuse in 30 days, and that's how the Atlanta. I think it was the.
What a mushed mouth headline for sexual predators.
Yeah.
Bad behavior.
The normalization
of
child rape. The normalization of it.
Well, it's funny you put it that way, because normalization as a term wasn't on my radar until, 67 minutes ago. And certainly the mainstreaming of pedophilia wasn't on my radar until it seems like only yesterday. But it's a funny overlap in time and space that a famous sexual predator teacher, Mary Kay Letourneau, is in the headlines again. Do you guys remember her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
she was a 6th grade teacher in the late 90s who seduced, I guess is how they would have put it. I don't know how Barbara Walters put it, but anyway, she assaulted her 12-year-old student, became pregnant by him, got such a mind lock on him that she got him to marry her after she served time. She had that kid under her thumb for 2 decades. And he's a father of 6 or something with her?
Well, we've all learned that a big component of this is mind control of the victims. 2 decades of it.
Yeah, she went away. She went away for 7 years, and then when she got out, then they got married. I was like, "Oh my, unbelievable!"
Well, that his parents would permit that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the situation. I don't know his family.
I'm sorry, you don't get your hooks in my 12-year-old without consequences and condemnation. Are you kidding? Sorry you got pregnant, lady.
See, I would be in jail.
Exactly.
Didn't she have? She had like 3 of her. I believe she had 3 or 4 children of her own while she was doing this.
Well, I know she was a married woman
and a
when they.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Happily married, 3 kids, diddling 12-year-old.
Dude.
Was her husband standing by her?
I don't think so. I think that
You mean the child husband or the
Turner's husband?
I believe he got away with the kids, which is probably the only good thing that came out of it.
I do read a lot of stories where husbands are standing by their wives after they do this. It's very bizarre. And
as Becky pointed out to us last week, sometimes it's the parents that are involved in this, not just these networks and lone wolf pedophiles. It's parents,
sure,
mother and father. So it's
now that reminds me of Kendall saying that she'd been given to somebody as a child. Is that what you're referring to, JT?
Well, Becky's parents basically offered her up to these animals, and Becky, we were talking about, and we're going to talk about that tonight, because I really want people to get angry, and why they haven't gotten angry yet is like beyond me. But anybody that listens to this show, anybody that tweets this out, anybody that knows anything about it, if you don't take that resolution and walk your ass down to your local school board and at least let them know that you're watching, there is something seriously wrong with you, and you should unfollow the show and just stop listening. If all you're going to do is tweet about it and listen, there's something wrong with you. And this just needs action now. It's needed action 10, 20 years ago, but it's beyond an epidemic. I mean, my wife was sending me links to fresh cases in Florida all day. And I mean, by the time, about an hour ago, I was trying to get everything, that we'd be talking about together, and just the volume of all the stuff just really pushed me over the edge. And that's, I'm just kind of sitting on the edge right now.
And it's that sense of outrage that I believe has been co-opted. Not only that sense of outrage, but the concept of something is right and something is wrong. It's not all, that's your way and this is my way. It's not if it doesn't hurt anybody, or, if it does hurt somebody but they don't complain. It's not all these soft borders between right and wrong. Or rather, it is that. There's been something done in this liberalization of our culture, which has made certain things that were not okay. And one of those things that's okay is to not give a good goddamn. Now, is that because everybody has to have 2 jobs now to keep that family afloat? So what do you attribute to disarray, the lack of outrage?
We've been socially engineered. And, just read about it. Public relations, Paul Bernays, he founded the phrase "keeping the world safe for democracy" during World War I, and he Paul Bernays.
I want to look him up while you're talking.
Bernays. He was the father of, I guess, modern public relations, and the reason he called it public relations is because Goebbels in Germany had ruined propaganda. Gave propaganda kind of a tarnished it. So instead of propaganda, they came up with public relations. And it has been used from the 40s through the 50s, through the 60s. And you do know Gloria Steinem was a CIA front, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I have to tag in. You said Paul Bernays, and that's Nays?
Bernays, yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting to note, and I think important to point out, the whitewashing that Wikipedia is presenting. I'm telling you, if you ever see a set of old encyclopedias, effing pick it up, because this is just talking about Paul Bernays, the mathematician. Period.
Right.
4 paragraphs. So please continue, right. JT.
Well, I'll put some more links in the show description. But this guy wrote books, theory. There was one other guy that his name escapes me right now, but I'll put him in there. But they were like the dynamic duo of public relations, and they're their goals. I mean, the Kinsey Institute, for God's sake, oh, thank God for Kinsey, because he, took all the bad connotations away from sex. No, what he did was allow pedophilia to become normalized, and that's basically what Kinsey did. And that's all available on the internet too. The Kinsey Institute was staffed by pedophiles, and our society, the people that run our society, a strong family is not what they're out to promote. And through very dirty, covert means, they've accomplished that. And even something as good as equal rights for women was subverted for the goal of breaking down the family. So they take even good ideas and turn them into something sinister.
Do either of you know who Aaron Russo was?
Yes, absolutely.
No.
Okay. He was actually a Hollywood film producer. I believe he produced Trading Places back in the 80s.
Yep.
And he was dying. He was dying of cancer, and one of his main things was that he was, fighting the income tax, saying it was, it was illegal. What do you call that, John? The whatever kind of tax it was, blah blah blah.
Yeah, which is basically true. It is an illegal tax, but
yeah,
so they have no right. I think the only thing they have the right to tax is profits or something. Now, if you go out and work, 40 hours a week, under the laws other than the set that they operate under, it's illegal. Like the Constitution and stuff, it's illegal to tax a man's daily labor, but they don't follow that.
I forget, right. But his side thing was he was because he was a Hollywood producer. He got in with he claimed he got in with one of the Rockefellers, and they would hang out. And one night they were talking, and the Rockefeller asked Aaron Russo. He said, "Aaron, what do you think the women's liberation movement was all about?" And Aaron's answer was to the effect like, well, women should be able to work and they should have equal rights and, so on and so forth. And he said, the Rockefeller looked at him and said, you're so dumb. He said, why am I dumb? He said, women, equal rights was about two things. First, it was putting women in the workforce so that they could tax them. They were, the government, they were missing out on, half the population basically of poor people. And then the second part was that they wanted to get women out of the home so that they no longer raised their children, and then the state could essentially raise their children.
And television.
Right. But once, just getting to your point of just pulling, women are, fighting for the rights to go out and work, and I'm not debating that issue. But once women left the home, then they didn't, the children had, could be influenced a lot, more easily. And that's what Aaron Russo said. He was told by a Rockefeller.
Absolutely. And a strategy. And it's worked very well. And people, the television, people are like, oh, it's just TV. We have been programmed through the television for decades. It's probably the strongest tool of mind control that there is.
Can I interject that I watched some mainstream TV for about 15 or 20 minutes the other day, and yesterday maybe, day before, and it was some kind of dinner hour friendly kids show, meaning there's like a family with like an adolescent boy and a slightly older daughter, your standard sitcom setup, and I swear to God, within 10 minutes they were making pedophilia jokes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, people, when you talk about this, they think you're crazy, but, once I started doing this research, I'd even go back and watch old shows, and it'd be like, what the fuck were they talking? And see, a lot of this is subliminal, and there are subliminal levels to television that we don't even, think about or understand. But that's all in there too. So yeah, we're socially engineered. It's not an accident that nobody gives a shit that their kids are being raped.
Or how did Flint not march right up to the governor's mansion's door? I mean, that was a crime in public. I don't understand. Maybe it's easy to say from the comfort of this chair, but a whole city knows it's being poisoned and does not arrive on the steps of the Capitol building? Or did they and it wasn't covered? Can anyone tell me?
No, they didn't. Maybe it was the fluoride that was in the water before the lead was in the water.
An old man once told me that he was a Navy cook on an aircraft carrier in World War II and that they were using saltpeter on the service members to keep them limp. Has anybody ever heard this?
Yes, I have.
I was stunned by that, but of course now it's years and years later and everybody talks about fluoride and whatever those stripes in the sky are. And I sort of think back on that and wonder if it's just another move on that chessboard.
Vietnam, they did it.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you bring up Flint, El, because I mean, if there is something that is going to get people out in the streets to storm the castle, I would think that poisoned water and poisoning children,
brain damaging a generation or more.
Yeah.
Water they still can't bathe in.
I would think that would be enough to get. I would think that would be enough to get people out of their homes, but people. I don't know how far the capital of. I don't even know what the capital of Michigan is. Is that Lansing? What's the capital? All right, quiz. I didn't know there would be a quiz.
Oh God.
Well, whatever the capital of Michigan is.
Thanks, Howie. I didn't feel dumb.
I don't know it either. Obviously.
Thanks.
I'm taking a shot at Lansing. But who knows if they could even get there in the I remember watching that.
I don't buy it. They couldn't get there, but they haven't gone there is the thing that I think that we're saying, and it's heartbreaking because if we're talking about crimes, public and private, that's a murder, that's a genocide enacted on the national stage, on the global stage, to the shame of us all. And there's no uprising in the streets. There's no marching on the governor's mansion. There's no grabbing that fuck Snyder out of that cushy chair, throwing him in that river. I can't believe it. I mean, this is the way the world ends, with a goddamn whimper.
You don't have to throw him in the river. Just make him drink a glass of water. Make him drink a glass of water.
Day after day and give it to his children.
Yeah.
And everybody saw Erin Brockovich, right?
Yeah.
I emailed her once. Go
Lansing.
ahead.
It is Lansing.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was so good at state capitals.
You're teaching the class, Howie.
I'm so good at state capitals.
So what's it going to take to get people outside? It's astonishing to me. I think the term is cognitive dissonance. Okay, I'm just going to switch it back to Bernie Sanders for a minute, although we could easily go down the road of Obama's EPA and the outcry to save it, which is just nonsensical to the point of insanity. Bernie. All right, so Bernie's, first of all, laid down the DNC fraud lawsuit. To my knowledge, has never even mentioned it. 2, has endorsed Tom Perez. 3, has again laid down for Tim Canova, who is W. Wasserman Schultz's challenger again in her district in Florida this year. He said he'd show up for him last time. He didn't, but he threw him an endorsement. Thanks anyway. This year it's, I don't know about him. 4, he just gave $100,000 to the DNC. Where in the hell does Bernie Sanders get an extra $100,000 to give to the organization that defrauded, lied to, manipulated, stole the time, faith, and intention of millions, and he gives them $100,000 motherfucking dollars? Are you kidding me? And people are still holding him up. Oh, Bertie. No, man, I'm all Trump now. He sure isn't what I picked. He wasn't what I wanted, but I think he's doing more than Bernie ever would have tried to get done.
No, Bernie. When Bernie endorsed that thing.
Oh God, like a monster in a fairy tale. That Tom Perez guy.
That was it. No, I'm talking about Hillary Clinton.
Oh,
that was it.
There's been so many flags.
That was it for me. I mean, that was it. I knew when Warren didn't endorse him, I knew the fix was in, but I wasn't sure if he was involved. And by the convention, it was obvious. And they compromised him. I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Yeah, I spent months cherry picking with the other bereft burners about that gash on his cheek at the con, where I felt like I got a gash on my cheek too. It was so physically painful, that experience.
You got
But
one on
now,
your soul. You got one on
all
your
I can
soul.
say is Seth Rich did not have less to lose. Sean Lucas did not have less to lose. Jared Beck and Elizabeth Lee Beck, the attorneys litigating the DNC fraud lawsuit for us all, for the very idea of America, do not have less to lose. And he is a coward, if nothing else, a sheepdog in all probability, and a liar and a manipulator and a seducer, and I fucking resent it. And now he tells people resist when he laid down?
Well, I'm hoping thousands of people that feel the way you do will be in Washington, D.C. on July 10th to show somebody that the murder of a guy who was basically just trying to do the right thing matters. Okay, and while people's lives are still on the line, like Jared and Elizabeth Beck in Florida, where three attorneys, three, four, what week is it, have been murdered that are somehow enmeshed in the DNC and Wasserman Schultz and Clinton Mafia. I'm hoping those people come out to silently protest the death of one American that was just trying to do the right thing on July 10th. And you watch this show, it's called The Traffic Report. It's about child trafficking. Why is Seth Rich's death important? Because without the corruption, the trafficking doesn't exist. One supports the other. It's a full circle. Okay? So you can't pick and choose. So.
And I just wonder how many ears this is falling on that are not deaf. I tell you, it is, I don't know what's more sobering, the realization of the rot, the cancer at the top that surrounds us, or the ennui, God, that's too pretty a word, the usefulness, the do-nothingness, the people that surround us that just don't care.
And we're talking about teachers rapists. Just go. One link that took me less than 30 seconds to find, I think has, about 50 cases. That's on HuffPost. Okay. And we're giving you a solution. If you're listening, and you're not crazy about your kids getting raped by your teachers, there's a link in our show notes. It was in last week's show notes. It was in a show notes 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, and it's an ordinance that one of my American heroes, Jim Rothstein, retired NYPD detective who's now 80 some years old and a mayor of a Minnesota town, who gave his whole life investigating this and trying to expose it and got shut down as a police officer, is the mayor of a small town. And I'm hoping we're going to go see him soon, because people need to hear his story and the information that he has. But at any rate, that's law in that town, okay? And it could be law in your town, all right? And everybody in that town, should you decide to hit the print button and carry your ass down to your school board in your county or your city commission, you're going to put people on notice that they're being watched, okay? At least by you. And I kind of think, if you know a few parents and you were to explain what the ordinance is about, and it's really simple. It's all worded really nice and complete, and it's easy. You just have to take it down there. You're going to get a few to go with you.
Can you tweet out that link on the show account?
Yes, I can. I think I can. I'm going to try it. I might get disconnected, but I'll try it. I'll do that. You guys wail away on these bastards.
Which bastards?
You know the ones, all of them.
Teacher
rapists.
Wait, I want to interject here. Bastard actually means motherless child, and I'm not cool. You're triggering me. You got to think of a different term than bastard. I'm sorry. Criminals, monsters, predators.
Well, I don't know where, like I said, my theory is they have different DNA, but I don't know where. I don't think they're of human parentage. How about that?
Whoa, how about that? You just went outside the box, JT. What? You can't drop a bomb like that and get out of there
I'm
like
pissed.
that.
I gotta post the link. Sorry, you gotta talk amongst yourselves.
So what do you think about this alien concept JT just dropped like a lead balloon, Howie?
You
want to go there?
Oh, I mean, listen. My mind's open at this point. My mind is open to anything, but it's. I don't think it's in our best interest to go down the alien route. But hey, if it happens, and I was in a DM today, and somebody said there's going to, in the next whatever, there's going to be, the aliens are going to be on TV, and I replied, what channel? Just let me know when it happens. My mind's open to it. It's fine, but we have more pressing things to, we have tangibles, we have things that we have knowns that we need to concentrate our effort. And when you deal with unknowns, what was it? Now I'm starting to sound
Rumsfeld.
like
Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm starting to sound like Rumsfeld. We have known knowns and known unknowns and unknown.
That is pure double talk, by the way. We got to pass the bill to know what's in it. Straight up double talk. How does anyone buy anything they say?
And I'm not an alien buff, but by non-human, I mean not the human beings that have like souls and compassion, and they just can't. I mean, this behavior just can't be from humans. I don't know the origin of DNA on the face of the earth and civilizations 10,000 years ago, but it ain't like you and me. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, how many psychopaths and how many sociopaths walk among us, and how many of them have important jobs? Seems like a really outrageous percentage of people in power have tendencies of that type. I wonder what the application or interview process is like.
Now, getting back to this Church of England thing, I mean, one headline reads, Archbishop says Church of England hid decades of sex abuse. Now, my question is, you were talking about like taking some kind of stand. How could anybody in their right mind show up at that place of worship this week or any other day for the rest of their lives? I mean, how, like, on what planet is this even remotely could this be overlooked? Because they've done it in the Catholic Church for so long. They know things were hid. They know things were covered up. And everyone somehow excuses it as almost like a few bad apples, or this is a tragic situation, we need to do better, but my religion is more important to me. And I just don't get it.
Well, it's also like the symbolic nature of these wrist slaps. The Archbishop who's at the center of that story served 16 months for decades of assault, not to mention the administrative maneuvers required to move the other pedophile priests around. 16 months.
Yeah, this case deals with a bishop named Peter Ball, and I remember hearing about him a while ago, but today was the day where they had to admit that not only did this happen, but the church hid and covered it up. Now, why would a church do that unless it's part of their culture? I can't think about it.
And it is. It's part of the culture. This is institutional pedophilia, and it's everywhere.
Well,
and they let that guy out after 16 months. 16 months of the softest time possible, I'm sure.
Oh, the little ordinance that I just posted. The minimum is life without parole, I believe. Maximum to be determined. One of our viewers suggested demon DNA. I would not disagree with that. And yeah, there are demons living in your town, and they could be next door, and they're watching your kids right now. So,
dude, not Carol. What do you mean next door?
The mailman.
Go ahead and get esoteric. What do you mean demon DNA? Do we mean like monsters in the not monsters in the euphemistic sense, or do we mean something more? Do we want to go here?
It's certainly demonic, you know.
Well, Howie was touching on this while you were offline making contacts on Twitter. Because once you start down this path, there is definitely esoteric and hard to wrap your mind around stuff, occult stuff at the very periphery. It's even like these Podesta emails. Talking about what's occult in there, because it's definitely occult in there, is very uncomfortable. And I feel like in a way it's a tool by which opposition can discredit us by acknowledging what is in fact there. There is a cult in the Podesta emails. There is a cult in the DNC emails. There is Hillary Clinton talking occult in those emails. But I feel like it's dangerous territory for us.
It's not and screw that. We're just going to talk about it because it's the truth. It's on the record. I mean, it's read the Treasury documents, the finders. These are satanic cults. Okay, I don't care what you believe. These assholes believe that, okay? And listen to Kendall on Dr. Phil's show. They're sacrificing children to Lucifer, okay? That's what's going on. Read the history of the Masons, for Christ's sake. Listen to Bill Cooper talk about Mystery Babylon religion for 30 hours and make it as clear as it possibly can be, dating back all the way to Samaria. You know, it's the core of this. Yeah, absolute, you know, demonic, satanic, whatever.
Should teach that in history class.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, I missed that. I must have been.
I missed that in catechism. You know, they weren't that. I didn't realize that some of the demons were teaching that, you know, the doctrine.
Speaking of Podesta, you know, he's going to be in front of he's not going to really be in front of them. It's in a private session, but he's going to be asked questions by the House Intelligence Committee.
There ought to be an outcry to make his testimony public. Do you happen to know the date of his appearance or non-appearance, as it were?
Yeah, I'll check it. Everybody was all excited, like, Podesta's going to be grilled by the House Intelligence Committee. And as soon as I went to the article, I was like, behind closed doors. What does he get to go behind closed doors?
Because this whole thing is a dog and pony / Comey show.
Yes.
Oh, no. My question's rhetorical. Of course it is.
Which really just brings it back that we need to be taking responsibility. Yeah. They are not going to indict themselves. They're going to do this for another 7 months, another 7 years. They're going to get exactly nowhere.
They're actually calling it an interview.
Oh.
The Comey, you know, an interview about his hacked emails.
Isn't that kind of
hashtag interview with the vampire, you guys? Is it too late?
Yeah.
Is it too soon?
It's an interview.
They just like Loretta Lynch told Comey to call it a matter, not an investigation, something like that.
Interview with the molesta. Interview with Podesta. Is Nunez still on the House Intel Committee?
He was shut down, wasn't he?
Well, I ask because, you know, the name of Dennis Montgomery and his alleged 60 million documents of proof regarding mass government surveillance on the citizens and the worst crimes you can imagine. Dennis Montgomery is back in the news, right?
Lawsuit,
Larry Klayman is representing him, and apparently there was this very incendiary letter they delivered to Nunez, which is the thing that sent him going straight to POTUS these many months ago. So in theory...
that letter was sent to every member of that stinking committee and probably in the Senate and the House. They all know about Montgomery. The White House knows about Montgomery, you know, who apparently nobody gives a shit.
Well, it really does beg the question. I mean, I would imagine some people care. There's got to be at least 2 good ones, right? They haven't all been in that job since before Benghazi, have they? There's some fresh up there, right? There's 1 or 2 real people.
And there are, but it, they're surrounded. But I heard somebody else talking about this today. It's like when you're surrounded by the corruption. God, it was freaking Braverman in his speech. It was weird. It was like a cry for help almost, and it's like, well, what can you do when you're surrounded, by corruption as one individual? Well, you can stand the fuck up and don't worry about your job. You can do that, but most people don't. And that's, the FBI agents and the police officers, I don't know, the oath that I took doesn't leave you any wiggle room that if you're aware of this going on, you don't have a choice. You stand up and you expose it, regardless of your pension, regardless of your colleagues, but that's just me, I don't know. So.
It's a standard we all should be held to. I would take that oath right now, but I want to ask, are you talking about a speech Eric Braverman, the long-vanished CEO of Clinton Foundation, made? Mm-hmm. Can you share that link? I've never even heard of this before.
Well, it just happened in London, and they actually tried to get Trish and Jason Goodman thrown out of the conference because they didn't want anybody talking to him, and Goodman swears that Braverman made eye contact with him and was kind of talking to him, telling him that this is what's going on, and he's kind of trapped, I don't.
Is there footage of this?
Yeah, I'll get it for you. I know they have it. They were talking about it. And they were actually there. They heard it, and they managed to stay. But they hussed one of the disinfo guys that have been attacking them. Some fat idiot named Mandingo or whatever the hell his name is on YouTube. Called the Oxford school and told them that they were there to harm Eric Braverman. So the director of the school was just like all over him. They nearly got thrown out, but they were allowed to stay. But that's why I'm pretty sure they're on the right track, because they're getting screwed with so much that that just doesn't happen to if they don't have the right story, if they're off in outer space somewhere, you don't see all this concerted trolling, and we've been victims of that.
Yes, we certainly have. The shadow band is very loud. Are you telling me they have footage? I'm incredulous. They have footage of Eric Braverman speaking at somewhere called the Oxford School. Is that right?
Yeah, the big college in England. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. He did a presentation there, and they were at it. I mean, they obviously couldn't film it, but they said they've watched it since. So I'm assuming that it's on some sort of media platform. I'll find out for you.
Well, I'll be all eyes for that. My goodness, stranger than fiction.
Everybody was looking for him for all those months, and he's just over at Oxford, and nobody says anything.
Right. Well, don't forget he got a job working for the Alphabet/Google enterprise.
Yeah.
His Twitter suddenly kicked back up after months of silence, maybe like 8 or 12 weeks ago. Everything's sort of blurring together, all these sleepless nights. But supposedly he was working directly for Eric Schmidt for a time.
Yeah, I heard he got that big job at Google, and he never even tweeted about it. So.
Yeah, it really beggars belief.
Yeah, and his what they said he said was that the way this corruption can be combated is through social media, and that's probably just a ploy so they can track you. But they're tracking everybody. They've got every word, every keystroke you make. That's already in the bag. So
it seems to me more and more the solution to our problems is getting offline and getting to know our neighbors at a minimum.
Yeah, gee, just like the old days.
Hey, you know what? People stink. They don't even like answering their phones. They sure as heck don't ever return a card. People stink.
And you gotta realize, that may be just who we're running into on social media, and I'm guilty of this myself. I need to get out there more and talk to more people, and I'm so livid, at this point about the teacher thing, that's where I'll be going, and I'm sure I'll get to talk to a lot of people, and I'm sure you guys will too.
Well, I took a chance and talked to a neighbor not long ago. He muttered the word impeach, and I, pivoted like on a ball bearing. And within like 7 to 10 minutes, he was like, "Wow, I didn't know all that." So maybe God threw me a pop-up or whatever, threw me a softball the first time. But I found it very encouraging, and I would encourage anyone hearing this to pivot on casual, remarks about impeach or anything that that you can back up with facts, and disabuse someone of their hypnotism.
Absolutely. That's how the world changes, one person at a time, as far as I know.
It's difficult too because my neighborhood is saturated with anti-Trump. Or still, I'm with her. God forbid. Are you kidding? She's not with you. Are you serious? I'm with her. Paraphernalia.
I'm telling you, Seth Rich is common ground for a lot of people.
Well,
the DNC. I
got a favor and do like Howie suggested.
Issue.
Ask your neighbors. Ask your neighbors and your friends. Do you know who Seth Rich is? Because I had the experience this past week. Well-informed, quote-unquote, friend telling me how she's not talking to her sister because politics. And I'm like, yeah, do you know who Seth Rich is? Total blank. So don't take it for granted. People know.
No, do not.
No.
Take it for granted. Well, that's, with Pizzagate, for the media debunking it and calling it fake news and basically controlling the narrative that, everybody, you have to be a nut job to believe in it. When you get out and you start saying the words Pizzagate to people, you get mostly blank stares. So all I was ever asking was, hey, take a look at it yourselves. You decide. But, for them to say that everyone knows that this whole thing is fake and there's nothing to it and it's just a conspiracy theory, the reality of the situation is that 95% of America never heard the words pizza and gate together.
I disagree. I think Atlanta CBS 46/Ben Swann's online presence accounts for some percentage of Americans having heard the words. But I think what we're dealing with is not just this fluoridation of our frontal lobes or whatever, but it's also the cowardice, because if you face this, you really have to, in my experience, you can't disengage from it.
That's where the cognitive dissonance kicks in. And when the rot to your soul becomes greater than the fear that you have from confronting this, then that's when the change is made. And that happens at different times for different people. But it will. They can't, this information is out. It's getting out. There's arrests being made every day. And while we're doing that, let me just so you can be as pissed off as I am, I'm just going to go through this first HuffPost link with just the headlines that are on the first page of this. Okay, this is our teachers. Okay, and each one of these is a different story. There's about 30 of them. Teacher and student sex case had teen's name tattooed on her. Number 2, gym teacher charged with 30 counts of statutory rape. Number 3, teacher gets jail time for sex abuse of 4 students. Number 5, school knew about sex complaints against teacher. Number 6, New Jersey teacher accused of sexually assaulting 3 students. Number 7, woman accused of sex with minors may have more victims, and she turned out to be a teacher. That's number 8, teacher pleads guilty after giving student lap dance in class. Number 9, LA teacher suspected of having sex with students. That's raping children, by the way, so HuffPost needs to, probably get that right. Lori Handrahan is working on proper terminology for what's going on, which is rape. 6th grade teacher charged with rape of 13-year-old boy. Wow, they used the word rape. Thank you, HuffPost. There's another one. Teacher charged with rape after being found with teen in hotel. This is like 11 or 12. Teacher who allegedly threatened student over sex, now in psychiatric facility. Yeah, that's a good place for her. Teacher had raped 2 students at home. Let's see, we've got almost. Well, that's half of them. Almost done. There's some good unbelievability in some of these next ones too. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Student-teacher sex, a victimless crime, lawyer says. Florida teacher who got student's number from chalkboard pleads guilty to sex crimes. Teacher allegedly hires undercover cop to torture, kill former student. Judge gives teacher who had sex with student 30 days, calls her dangling candy.
Ugh.
Teacher accused of sexual assault on student. Teacher accused of sex with 3 students to face separate trials for each victim. Teacher sent thousands of texts to 11-year-old expressing deep love. Teacher gets 15 years in prison for sex with 15-year-old. Prominent high school debate team coach arrested on child porn. And child porn is child rape, by the way, people. The kids in those pictures, they're being raped. Okay? You're an accessory. You're a participant. California teachers plead not guilty in student sex case. Middle school teacher pleads guilty to rape a 13-year-old student. And the pictures, Maui football coach arrested for allegedly sexting student. Elementary school teacher accused of rape of former student. Elementary school teacher. Okay? And I can't read anymore. Okay? There's probably another 10 just on that link alone. So if this doesn't motivate anybody listening to this or anybody that sees our Twitter feed to take that ordinance and get their ass down to their school board and their city commission, I don't know what will. And all we can do is continue to talk about it. I'm done.
Good God.
Want me to go? There was a really good article from the Boston Globe, the Spotlight team, the same ones who exposed the sex abuse in the Catholic, the Boston diocese. So their article is about private schools, painful secrets, more than 200 victims, at least 90 legal claims at least 67 private schools in New England, and these are like the elite of the elite private schools. Story of hundreds of students sexually abused by staffers emerging from decades of silence until today. And, in the article, you can actually go on each of the schools and find out what the claims are. But you just see the same things over and over and over again. One of the schools was named Choate. And I believe John F. Kennedy went there.
Very high class.
Yeah, well, all these are. You're talking about 67 different schools just in New England. So all these schools that you and I would even know about. But when you're talking about patterns and institutions, these things and these things are not like 1 and 2 here. I mean, this stuff dates back to the 60s. Is it an elite thing? What is it? Because
absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean the cases that we're reading about a teacher here, in these schools, all right, it seems like isolated incidents, but when you see, all these schools to me have the same type of pedigree, the same type of student, the same eliteness, wealth, and this is happening over and over again. And one in this showcase, I mean, back in the 80s, they said parents complained. Parents in the 1980s, parents complained that when their daughter contracted herpes, so obviously there was something going on there, but it wasn't until recently that showed, it was like this year, that they had to admit that this has been going on since the 60s, and just same thing as the churches cover up, deny, and once again, how, but it doesn't come out until they absolutely have to, admit it. And that's why when we do things, we have to keep pressing everyone on it, because nobody's going to admit anything until we get the absolute proof going on. We have all the circumstantial evidence we need.
And that's, and you said elite, and I'll just, one quick point there. That's how they build the infrastructure. Those are the kids that go to Harvard and go, into schools of government, and in England and Oxford, and
subsequently run our country.
And they become the infrastructure for these rings, and then they then they prey on the poor kids. Then they kidnap, the DC girls. Then they take kids out of Haiti. But that's how it happens. Sorry, Elle.
No, not to be sorry. I couldn't have said it better. It's an interesting thing to note how many prey must turn predator in order for this to continue.
And very, very many. And they're it's a win-win for them. They don't have to compromise these kids after they become politicians. They're already compromised. And the ones they don't get that way, they use the other operations to compromise them. Human compromise. There's another document up there that Jim, it was a confidential report that he did to Congress about human compromise, human trafficking. And that's how this all exists. That's how somebody can be murdered in the most photographed, videoed city in the world, and it's like it never happened. Corruption. Seth Rich.
God bless Seth Rich. There's some stuff floating around suggesting he's not dead, that this is a gigantic, I don't know, mind game that's being played on this for reasons I couldn't understand when I read the blog post. Are either of you aware about this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My feeling is, even if that's the case, we even more actually should investigate.
Yeah.
Yeah, either way. I mean, fine. Yeah. Either way. Something's up.
Absolutely, something's up.
The tragedy, would be removed, but regardless, it's a reported murder.
Yeah.
DC police have it down as a murder. He was taken to a hospital. Yeah, his autopsy report is not available.
I think it would be fantastic if he was alive.
He's
I wish he was.
With Eric Braverman, right?
Yeah.
Well, not at Oxford.
So, I think every episode we say something about how a modern day victim with the courage of 1,000 men who's willing to name names, if that person would step forward, it would save so many and bring this whole thing to a head. And I don't know if you're aware of a recent interview with a woman who sounds incredibly credible to me. She was trafficked by a local Los Angeles news anchor in the 70s into Hollywood. Did either of you catch a glimpse of that? It came out in the last few days.
Yes. Thanks to you, by the way.
Oh, you're very welcome. Do you happen to remember what show her interview was on? Because it is riveting. Do you have that link? My phone is dead, or else I'd bring it up right now.
And I probably do, but I'm not sure that I can find it.
Maybe I can find it real fast. Do you remember any of the details of her testimony? Because she's talking about people who are still in the game, at least one.
I'm looking.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, and I don't want to eat our last few minutes. I'll see if I can find the show that she's on, so any listeners who are curious.
Or we'll talk about it Tuesday.
Tuesday's going to put us how many days away from the anniversary of Seth's murder? Tuesday is the 26th.
You guys are killing me. Okay, first it's the capital of Michigan, and it's a link that I don't have. Now it's how many days?
July 10th.
I don't know shit.
July 10th is the date of his murder, the anniversary of Seth's murder, or not murder but kidnapping.
So, you guys haven't asked. You haven't asked me one question tonight. I can answer.
It's about 18 days.
18 days.
Thank you, Howie.
Seems like a lot, question, but it doesn't seem like a lot.
I don't know.
Well, I think it's enough time. I think it's enough time. I think progress we made.
I pray to God you're right.
No, I mean where we were 5 days ago, or even like a week ago.
Well, we got more teammates. Okay, so the show
and
that
shout
this
out
woman
to the
is
teammates.
On, amen to the teammates, and to each and every one who hasn't come forward yet. Hurry up. So the show that this woman reveals that she was trafficked into Hollywood by a news anchor, and actually raped by an actor from the Beverly Hillbillies. Anybody's ever seen that show? The program is called
Jethro.
The program is called Truth Unsealed, and it's on YouTube. And if you don't believe every word out of her mouth, check your water for lead.
Check your brain for stupid.
Check your frontal lobe for what? Existence?
Electrical activity.
Right. So yeah. So people are coming forward. People are coming forward for Seth. People are coming forward for the truth of their own experience as trafficked children who are no longer afraid. I really pray that things seem to be coming to the head. It's
I don't
so overdue.
I don't believe in coincidence, and well, I'd have to look back at the three of us getting together for one thing. That's about as weird of a thing that could happen. And then the people that have just come on board with the Seth Rich Vigil are just phenomenal, and another coincidence. I don't believe that. And just I think it's going to be a perfect storm. And that's the way I'm looking at it. And I'm not going to expect anything else.
That's what happens when you get offline and you make it real. When you start talking to real people on real telephones or in person, it changes. It changes, and it changes quickly.
Yeah. And I'm hoping, and I'm going to start doing this myself. I think I'll do this when I go down the county commission with the trafficking ordinance. Do some video. Get it out there. Howie, I want you live.
I will be live on Sunday in New York City, from New York City.
Where are you going?
Gay Pride.
I thought you went last week. Are they proud again?
That was in Philly. It's gay. It's Pride Month. So they make they change the date so people can hit different cities. But New York is it's the mecca of the Gay Pride parade. So
wish I got to be proud in the brave new world. That'd be nice.
My partner's coming from Pittsburgh, so she'll have all the streaming stuff, and there'll be plenty of video. Should be interesting.
I'm gonna hold you to that. I can. Thousands of people would watch you, Howie. Thousands, at least thousands, and for that matter.
We'll see if my Periscope blows up. I'll have it out on Twitter.
I'm proud of you both.
Yeah, it's fun.
You got it. We're as far as I know, we're only come through here once. I think. Might as well make it.
It's that thought.
I love you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Everyone, Tuesday.